Before I take questions, I'd like to make a few comments about a critical issue involving the federal SNAP program. Too often, Baltimore City residents lack easy access to groceries. In fact, 1 in 5 Baltimore City residents face food access challenges. Even worse is the fact that children and seniors are disproportionately affected. Since becoming mayor, my administration has worked tirelessly with communities to increase food access for many of our most vulnerable residents. Most recently, we opened a ShopRite in Howard Park, a community that had not had a grocery store since the closing of Super Pride in 1999, 2 years after the last time the O's were in contention. Then, when the longtime Baltimore grocer Stop Shop and Save closed its doors earlier this year, my administration immediately enlisted Save-A-Lot to ensure that these communities did not go without access to fresh produce and nutritional food. And with the virtual supermarket program, it is the first community-based program in the country to accept EBT or SNAP for online grocery ordering and delivery in the country. It just shows the combination of things that we're doing to work aggressively to improve access to food. Together, we have made positive strides to eliminate our city's food deserts, and we're expanding healthy food options for residents who rely on EBT benefits and SNAP. We cannot afford to take a step backward. But due to some upcoming changes in the federal Farm Bill regulations, we're in danger of doing just that. Beginning September 21st, all SNAP-authorized retailers will be responsible for paying for their own EBT equipment, a service previously provided by the Federal Food and Nutrition Service. Retailers have a choice of either contracting with their current provider or changing to another provider, but any retailer who has not taken a proactive action by September 21st will have their machines shut off, making it difficult for some residents with SNAP benefits to access food. Yesterday, my administration received word that Xerox, the city's vendor for EBT equipment, has decided to extend the deadline to retailers to make that switch until October the 25th. Beyond what's called for in the Farm Bill. While that's a very positive development, we still have much more work to do to educate retailers about the need to switch their equipment over as soon as possible. It's imperative that we make sure the retailers' EBT machines stay activated, and because that has huge implications not only for the thousands of city residents who receive SNAP benefits, but for the entire city. Roughly 30% of Baltimore City residents receive SNAP benefits, and many of them have limited transportation options beyond the corner store for access to food. A disruption in service could cause even greater hardship on these families. But what we don't often realize is how SNAP also impacts our local economy. In 2011, $422 million from SNAP benefits was redeemed in food retailers. And for almost 800 corner stores in the city, a lapse in SNAP coverage would catastrophically impact their businesses across the city. Because we cannot afford to go backwards, my administration is taking a series of proactive steps to raise awareness among EBT customers and retailers about the upcoming deadlines. We are in communication with our not-for-profit partners. We also communicated with associations like KGRO to encourage the information be shared with retailers who may be unclear or unaware of the upcoming deadline. Meanwhile, my Office of Neighborhoods continues to visit retailers across the city to encourage them to make the switch. We'll also do everything that we can to make sure retailers are aware of this issue so that families who rely on these stores for food access will not suffer any additional hardship. We will continue our efforts to ensure that every family, no matter their income or where they live, have access to quality, affordable, nutritious food options. Now, I'd like to bring up Holly Freistadt, the Baltimore City Food Policy Director, who can elaborate on these changes. Holly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to take a few minutes to provide you with some background on the Farm Bill and the steps we've taken to address the issues. On February 7th, 2014, Congress passed the Agricultural Act, which reauthorizes the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. In the Farm Bill, Provision 4002 says SNAP retailers must pay for their own electronic benefit transfer, EBT, equipment. EBT is a machine that accepts SNAP, which in Maryland is the independent card is used through the EBT machine. Retailers will no longer be offered free EBT equipment and supplies and related services to participate in SNAP. However, the following entities are exempt. This is really important to note. Farmers markets, nonprofit organizations, and prepared meal services may continue to qualify for free EBT equipment and services. The definition of effective immediately set by USDA Food Nutrition Services is midnight of September 21st, like the mayor just mentioned. However, in Maryland, it's October 25th. So September 21st is the national rollout. However, there's flexibility given to the current state EBT providers to establish their specific deadline. In the state of Maryland, Xerox is a current EBT provider and has established their deadline of October 25th. Both Xerox and FNS have contacted vendors on multiple occasions. SNAP authorized retailers should arrange for lease or purchase of EBT equipment as soon as possible. The process could take up to 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the third-party processors the retailer selects. So even though it's now the end of September, the end of October will roll around really fast. So we really are encouraging retailers to take a call of action now. CDE is the contractor for Xerox and is one of the 10 options of third-party contractors retailers can choose from. This is a transition for retailers. Up until this point, retailers have had free machines, and now it could cost up to $900 a year, $75 a month for leasing agreements and activation fees. The price will vary depending on the third-party contractor they choose. SNAP is now a business decision. September is Hunger Action Month. We are calling action to our retailers to transition their EBT machines and services immediately. We do not want any retailer to lose revenue. We do not want to see any SNAP recipient losing access to EBT machines at their neighborhood corner stores. After hearing from several small businesses that the owners were confused about the transition process, the city contacted Xerox and all new service providers to clarify and distill the details I just went over. Baltimore has a strong relationship with USDA, and we will continue to stay up to date on how the implementation of the Farm Bill will affect Baltimore retailers and SNAP customers. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that. Any questions on SNAP benefits? All right, thanks, Holly. All right, I'm ready.
Yours.
I would like to personally thank Jane Miller for being the one reporter who is here today representing for the O's. Thank you very, very much. Your pride, your pride is very evident, and I wish that it was infectious with the other members of the press who are here, who must not have any pride in the team.
You didn't see me on the field hugging puck after the game?
Mm-hmm, I saw that. And I like the fact that you came in your jersey that you were wearing last night as well.
But seriously, it's been a long time. I was in high school last time we won the 10
Rub that in. I was on the city council.
It's a big.
You were just like wrongs.
It's a big source of civic pride. And what are we going to have a parade for yours? What's the next step for?
Well, we're ordering the appropriate orange lights so we can light up City Hall orange. And I know the O's have a series of events that they're planning throughout the city and the region. We'll take the cue from them. I think we are all looking forward to a huge celebration, but we're certainly going to work with them on what they want in this lead up to the post-season.
Police brutality. I know everyone's talking about it right now. The terrible incident, caught on tape, or caught on whatever it is now, video. You've condemned it. The commissioners put the officer, or suspended the officer. State's Attorney's Office say they're investigating it. Some question though why this wasn't done weeks or even months ago. Why only after this video was publicized to the defense attorney?
I would say that it's clear that there is a bottleneck somewhere, that tape that was held or in the custody of the police department didn't get to the proper people, so this decision could have been made sooner. Those are the types of things that we're taking a look at as we address the issue of police brutality in a more comprehensive way.
Is there a culture in that we've had the dog, this throat slitting incident? You know, it's serious, but it seems we don't go very long without something. It makes national news. Is there a serious systemic problem with this department? I mean, you spoke about it nationally and said our department is, you know, we're working with the community, but these incidents keep rising. So is there a culture inside that department that can't be changed?
I think there's, I won't go as far as to say there's a culture. I will say that there's a problem. That problem has been acknowledged by me, been acknowledged by the police commissioner, and it's certainly been voiced by the community. When I went from district to district doing the public safety town halls, whether people voiced their concerns or they wrote it in the forms that they filled out, the questionnaires, the feedback forms, to a meeting, the issue that was the most prevalent was police brutality. And it was very clear that we needed a comprehensive set of reforms to deal with that issue in the city, and that's what I have asked for from the police department.
Should this officer be fired?
I think that he should be dealt with in the course of, you know, that the judicial system should play its course. Yeah, I thought it was very important that he be off the streets. I've looked at it several times. I've tried to figure out under what circumstances that was the right thing to do. I can't figure it out. I'm glad he's off the streets, and I'm hoping that you know, the support that I've given to the police commissioner to, you know, to make the moves to, you know, move forward will be helpful, because I don't want to see this type of thing happen again.
You know, we've been around this issue many times over the past years, and we seem to always arrive at the same spot, and that is that we have a police officer whose conduct is pretty clearly awful, and nothing happened. He wasn't investigated, he wasn't suspended, he wasn't nothing. The police commissioner said, I didn't know it. I didn't even know it. It just seems to me that should be outrageous.
It is outrageous, and I mean, so we have a situation where we know that video was held by the police, yet the people who needed to see it didn't see it. That's a problem. That's a problem, just like the action itself was a problem. And my interest is to get into the bottom of why that happened, but also getting in place as soon as possible a set of comprehensive reforms so we can make sure that this doesn't happen. You know, we have some really, really good officers on the street, and when something like this happens, it casts a cloud over all of those officers. When we have just you know, a handful who are doing the wrong thing, we have to do it for the community, and we also have to do what's right and make these reforms, implement these reforms for the good officers who every day they show up, they're putting their lives on the line. And you know, they want to root out the bad actors as much as the community does, and as much as the commissioner does, as much as I do.
But if that were the case, though, the two officers who were there watching didn't report this.
And
so they really want to root it out. Why is it every time we have these incidents or other officers or witnesses who don't report it?
And that's what we're going to get to the bottom of that as well. You know, this is all of everything that you see, everything that I saw was a concern to me. It wasn't handled right at the incident, and it certainly wasn't handled right afterwards. And we need to make it clear what the responsibilities are of the officers, the actors themselves, you know, when there's a bad actor, but also what the responsibilities are for those officers who were there on the scene. It's clear that you know, either we don't have the right regulations or, you know, procedures, or they weren't enforced. Either way, we have to do better, because it was certainly handled wrong.
What about the idea that, or the concept that police officers punching someone is a legal way to arrest them? That's what Greg Bernstein argued in the Tyrone West case, that the ample evidence that the officers admit punching this man many times was legally justified. Is there a better way or a better training procedure that could be taught to officers to take down some of these guys rather than punching them with fists?
So I will say this: I'm not going to second guess that investigation. You know, I don't know how many ride-alongs you've done to see. You know, it's not all stop. You know, I'm going to arrest you, and someone says, "Okay, here you go." that's not what happens on the streets. The officers have to deal with all types of situations, and they are given, training to deal with the breadth of that. And sometimes they are confronted by non-cooperative suspects who use force. And sometimes you have to use force to effect the arrest. So I'm not going to second guess, that officers. It's not Sunday school. This is not all peaches and cream. This is, that sometimes you have violent offenders who are not interested in going with officers. Should the officers do everything they can to try to defuse the situation? Yes, but I'm not going to take something off the table when I'm not out there, making those arrests.
What do you think about the use of body cameras?
I think that's something that we're certainly taking a look at, but if you take a look at this case, even if we had the body cameras, it's not that it wasn't recorded. It was after it was recorded, it didn't go up the right chains to get to the right people. So it's more than just the cameras. We need comprehensive reform.
So the commissioner sometimes mentioned reforms to the law enforcement officers' bill of rights because it makes it difficult to adjudicate these cases. Do you support some sort of reform upcoming in that
I've asked the commissioner to take a look at all of the things, just like we're taking a look at body cams. We're also taking a look at the officer's bill of rights. We have to take a look at what reforms are necessary across the board to change to change outcomes for the future. We want to make it more difficult for this to happen. We want to provide the right training, but also provide the right tools for if it happens again. We are placed in a better position to be able to investigate.
No one in elected office in Maryland has ever wanted to take on the LEOPR. Even in the face of the prison scandal where the investigators in that were directly cited it as saying you couldn't fire these folks. As we all know, the corrections officers had sex with the inmates and weren't punished for it until they were indicted. And so who is it that's going to march to Annapolis and say, we need this change? Would you do that?
I'm certainly taking a look at that. I think we definitely need to do it, and if we can come up with some solutions to change the officer's bill of rights to make it easier for us to do those prosecutions and make it more effective for us to investigate and to prosecute, yes, I will.
Mayor, about the arena, just to switch topics really quickly, what are your thoughts on this deal, how it differs from the agreement with First American Bank?
First, I'm pleased that Royal Farms has stepped up and that we have gotten a deal that's been approved by the Board of Estimates. I think the naming rights of the arena, which is one of the best performing arenas in the country, despite its condition, it's a good sign. I felt very strongly that we could do better than the deal that we had, the previous naming rights deal that we had. And I asked my team to work on creating a better deal and looking for a partner that we could work with for naming rights, and that's what we did.
What are the chances that we'll see a new or renovated arena with the Royal Farms name?
A new one with the Royal Farms name?
Or renovated.
So you're asking two different questions. So a new, the chances of a new or renovated arena, that's a priority of mine. It just has to be, the right location with the right financing to make it right. Not just because everybody thinks it's the right thing, but because it's the right thing and the right way for the city, and that's important. You can't. It takes a lot of financing to make to build a new arena, and we have to make sure that it's the whatever the city investment is right. And once we get to that number, then there's always going to be a gap in making sure that we have private investors who are willing to stand in that gap and to make it happen. So I'm very hopeful that we will be able to move forward with a new arena. Henry Raymond probably knows if those rights would transfer. I don't have that information. So they're two separate things.
Now, your administration passed comprehensive ethics reform to sort of limit travel by the pension board that was paid for by investment funds. Now the pension board has gone to the ethics board and looks like a loophole or sort of to, I would say, sidestep that law. I don't know if you've been made aware of this, but I was wondering if you want to comment on, they want to now have funds to be able to pay for some of their travel again, which is.
So I don't know what the distinguishing factors they're raising. So I can say that I thought it was important at the time that we make those changes. I think there were, whether or not it was, I don't think there was any allegations of impropriety, but with ethics regulations, it's not just the actual, illegal act or unethical act, but the appearance of it that gives us concerns, and that's why those reforms were put in place with the pension board travel. So I know why we did what we did when we did it. I don't know what the distinguishing factors are with this travel request that you're talking about, so I can respond.
Mayor, do you have a sense, has anybody, I know that there's a study being done for the economic impact of all that went on over the past week. But do you have just anecdotally, something to give you a gauge of what this has meant to Baltimore? I guess financially, but also just psychologically.
We got to showcase Baltimore nationally and internationally in an incredible way. Anytime we get to shine a light on Baltimore and remind people about not just what's going on now and what's coming in the future, but Baltimore's relevance to the history of our country, I think we benefit from that. I think people were blown away that came. I heard comments from many people who said that they basically had to drag their kids down because it was just like history. But then once they got here, they were blown away. I have friends that had their kids that were sending me text messages from their kids on the boat or their kids at the different festival villages, and just had a wonderful time. I am, like you, a very proud Baltimorean, and when I get to see people enjoy Baltimore, and the Baltimore that I know and love in new ways, it warms my heart. I would say it takes my breath away.
This New Americans in the,
Maybe too soon for that.
You have a press conference now.
How you feeling, Barry?
I am. I'm almost 100%. Anybody who's ever had an upper respiratory understand it takes a minute to get back to 100%. But I'm certainly a lot better than where I was. I really ran myself ragged, and I did it because I was so excited about this event, and I was determined not to let anything, including illness, stop me. And it was a reminder, I think, to me, and too many, it's not uncommon too many people push themselves beyond what they should. They don't listen to their body, like I didn't listen. I was short of breath all week, and I just kept pushing myself. I was like, okay, I'll take a little bit of Alka-Seltzer Cold, it'll get me through this event, and I'll take a little bit of Mucinex, it'll get me through my next event. You can't keep doing that to yourself without eventually it coming back on you. And I hit my limit.
I was going to ask about you having that New Americans thing at 11 o'clock, right? I've been asked, is that going to be mostly illegals or people who have come to the country illegally?
Come on.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And I can even believe that you're using that term, illegals.
Well, people that have entered the country illegally.
Undocumented.
Undocumented.
Is that a more accurate description?
Yes.
I think unfortunately there's this notion that anytime you talk about new Americans and you talk about immigration, that it's a negative thing. I would remind people when they say this, when they automatically look at any immigration as if they look at it through a negative lens, I would remind them of the foundation of this country. We are a country of immigrants. So this notion, we're the people who landed on this country, illegals. this is our history, and I think when you look at cities that are vibrant and growing, they're diverse cities that have grown through the strength of immigration, and I think Baltimore can be another one of those cities. When we have a very diverse and active community, we're able to grow jobs, we're able to strengthen neighborhoods, and I think I'll leave it to sort of those that want to focus on the negative, to look at immigration through a negative lens. I'll let them do that. That's not my focus. My focus is on making Baltimore a place that's welcoming to all.